everybody, Ramsey here. This is the Rajathon YouTube channel. Want to do a quick should you read on The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. This book was okay. I've heard so many good things about this series, and I enjoyed the book. It was interesting to meet all the characters, but I feel like this book was a whole bunch of setup. So let me kind of tell you what I mean there. We are basically in the land of the Union. So book starts out, we meet Logan Ninefingers. He gets separated from his band and meets some spirits, and they tell him, "Hey, go meet a wizard named Baaz." So Logan goes to meet Baaz, and then subsequently we also have Glotka, who is a crippled man who has joined the Inquisition, and he's powerful in the Inquisition. He's torturing some people. And then we also have Giselle, or Jazel, or I'm not 100% sure how you pronounce his name. It's Jezal. And he is training, he's a young officer in the Union's military, and he is training to become a swordsman and win a contest. Basically, it's like the political equivalent of winning a big debate. So he wins this contest, he becomes like the bee's knees. So we're kind of meeting all these characters, and there's just a ton of setup through the whole book where we don't get a... Personally, I don't feel like there's a huge plot. It's really just, let's set up the plot. That's probably why I would say I probably would have rated this book 3 stars, just because not a ton happens. You just get characters moving around, kind of coming together a little bit. There's a couple other characters I didn't talk about that might be spoilers to mention this early. I assume that they're big parts of the story later, but they're not so big right now. So you kind of get Glocka, his main part of the story is he's trying to take down a group of merchants. I think him and his boss believe that like the merchants are the problem with the current government and want to take him down. The king's kind of just a figurehead. He's not really lucid. They kind of parade him around when they need him. And so Baaz, him and Logan Ninefingers are in the process of coming to join the Union because there's just upheaval everywhere. Like where Logan's from in the north, they're about to attack the Union. And then from the south, they just got out of a war a couple years ago with the Gurkle, I think is what they're called. And they're about to start a war again as well. So basically, this is the country in the middle, and then the north and the people from the south are coming, and you learn some stuff about the magic. Baaz is a magician. Logan has some things that he can do that are really, really interesting. Baaz has an apprentice named Kwai. There's another girl that I'm not really going to go into. She is a former slave. She's coming from the south, kind of coming to join maybe the group. I'm not 100% sure yet. And then Giselle, he's in the process trying to do this sword fight. And all these characters, you're not sure how much they're going to intertwine, but you also kind of get an idea of they're all probably going to interact with one another. And that's a neat way that they do it. I think it's an interesting concept. If I hadn't heard so much good about the series, I may not keep going. But then the ending was really, really good. The action was done well. Kind of a big fight happens. Kind of most books do that. You, at the end of the book, you kind of get this big climax moment, right? And really gets book 2 going. You're like, okay, all the things that happened in book 1, they were leading to this book 2. Let's see where this book 2 goes. So I definitely want to get into that. Logan Ninefingers is probably my favorite character. He was good. I feel it was hard. It took me a long time to read this book just because I didn't feel like there was a huge plot. Like we weren't driving towards something. Comparing it to, at the same time I listened to The Way of Kings. So the audiobook I was listening to was The Way of Kings, and the book I was reading was The Blade itself. And they're very different books. You spend so much more time learning about characters here that really don't do a whole lot, maybe move around a little bit, where you learn about characters in The Way of Kings. I'm pointing at it, it's over there. But you also get a huge forward momentum in the plot. You learn so much more about these characters, and they do a bunch of things, and So it was a very different feel for me from, you know, two books at the same time. Where I'll give The Way of Kings 5 stars, where I'm looking at the Blade itself and I'm giving it like a low 4 star. Probably would have been a 3 star if the ending hadn't been so good. And the ending was great. It's worth getting to the ending for sure. Don't give up on it halfway. Um, and I'd like to talk to a bunch of people that have kept going, and let me know what book two, like how good book two is, because I'm gonna keep going personally whenever I can actually get out of the house and go buy a book. But yeah, I'm gonna keep going with it. I have heard so many good things about this series, and then the series that comes after it that's like in the same universe. Um, I think the first book in that series is A Little Hatred. I think everybody says that's even better. Like Joe Abercrombie, as he was going, he got better and better and better. So I wouldn't say I loved it. The only reason I'd reread it right now is if book two and three were really, really good. And I mean, you can't just start with book two. So, but I would say give it a shot. For the ending alone, I really enjoyed the ending. Um, some of the things that happened with the characters in the ending, I really, really enjoyed. I'm trying to think. It doesn't stand out to me as much as everybody has said that it has for them. I don't find myself being amazingly impressed. So I'm gonna say low 4 star for me probably is where it would rank in my um, group of books. So we'll see. We'll move on with the series. Hopefully, it's pretty good. Um, yeah, but for now, I would say give it a shot. But if you miss it, I wouldn't tell you that it was the worst thing in the world. So talk to you guys later. Bye.